In this video, we'll be going over IRS Form 3903, Moving Expenses. Now, this is a fairly straightforward tax form. After the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, beginning in tax year 2018, the moving expense deduction was largely eliminated for most taxpayers. And the primary exception would be for members of the armed forces on active duty due to military permanent change of station orders known as PCS orders. So this could be for the taxpayer, the service member, it could be a spouse, or for dependents. And that's the primary taxpayer category that is still able to deduct certain moving expenses from their taxable income. Now, as I guess a precursor, people that are going to use this form should know that you can't deduct expenses for household goods moves that were incurred by the government. In other words, you can't get a tax deduction on PCS moves that were reimbursed when you do your PCS travel voucher, or for a do-it-yourself move in which the military paid you to move some of your household goods. So this form is only to claim an expense deduction for unreimbursed expenses that you might not have been entitled to during your duty station move. So now, if you are a spouse or the dependent of a armed services member who is either a deserter, goes to jail, or dies on active duty, then you can still use this as a spouse or dependent to move to either your home of record, your service member's home of record, a closer point to the United States, or the place of enlistment. So you can deduct expenses that were not reimbursed for either travel or moving household goods and personal effects. What you cannot deduct are certain items that would not normally be considered reimbursable travel expenses. The form instruction contains a complete list, but for example, home improvements or any costs related to selling a home or buying a new home, car tags, or a new driver's license, anything that wouldn't normally be covered as a PCS move under the military defense travel system would not be allowable as a moving expense deduction. So we'll kind of walk through. This is a pretty straightforward form. It's only one page with 5 lines. So we'll walk through with our hero. Oops. Uh-oh, can't put in a space for some reason. So and then we'll put John Smith's social security number. And then you need to check the box that acknowledges you're a member of the armed forces or your family is eligible based on the requirements outlined in the moving expense instruction. So for line 1, you can, for either for moves within CONUS, the continental United States, or moves outside of the United States, CONUS moves, you can enter the amount that you paid to personally pack, crate, and move household goods items. You can include the amount that you paid to store and insure them within any 30-day period after they were moved and before they were delivered to your new residence. Same with outside. Uh, you can also claim storage fees. So, um, however, if you moved in an earlier tax year, if you're only claiming storage fees during your absence, and any amount that the government paid for storage fees happens to be in box 1 of your Form W-2, then you would not use Form 3903. Instead, you would directly enter the storage fees on Schedule 1 of your tax return, line 14, and then you would write storage. So we'll just say that John Smith paid $5,000 for all of his household goods moves, and he has all of his supporting documentation, receipts, and things of that nature. In line 2, you would enter your travel costs. So this includes lodging. It does not include the cost of meals, but it includes either out-of-pocket gas and oil expenses, or you can calculate a mileage rate. So the IRS mileage rate for anything before on or before June 30th of 2022 would be reimbursed at an 18 cents per mile rate, and then you can use the PCS order entitlement, the number of miles that your PCS move would have been entitled to. And after June 30th, 2022, it would be 22 cents a mile. So be sure that you're not claiming a deduction for moving expenses that you've already reimbursed for. So we'll just say that Mr. Smith incurred another $1,000 in travel. So you add lines 1 and 2 to come up with line 3. We've got line 3 is $6,000. Now, if you enter the total amount that the government paid you that was not included in your W-2, it should be in box 12 of your Form W-2 with a code P. And this would basically be either a dislocation allowance, temporary lodging allowance, a temporary lodging expense, or a move-in housing allowance that is excluded from taxable income. So do not include anything that was reimbursed to you that was excluded from taxable pay on your Form W-2. So let's imagine that the government paid $2,000. And then now you would say, is line 3 more than line 4? If yes, then you would subtract the difference. That means that you were reimbursed $2,000, but you went $4,000 out of pocket. This is your moving expense deduction that you would then enter on Schedule 1, line 14. Now, if you were reimbursed more than your actual cost of moving, then you can't use this as a moving expense deduction, and you actually have to include this on your 1040 line 1H as income. So line 1H happens to be happens to correspond with the line that you would use to enter your moving expense deduction. So that's all we have for this form. It's relatively straightforward. Again, IRS Form 3903, very few taxpayers are going to use this on their income tax return. Those who are going to have a military affiliation. If you want more detail about this form, we've written extensively about this and other IRS forms on our website. Simply go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 3903, and you should see the result, or in the search bar, you should see the page show up in the search results. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please post them in the comments section or send me an email. Thank you very much.